Welcome to Pull Up for the Culture, the Legacy Lounge. It's your girl Kia, and today we are having a real in-depth conversation today about inherited silence. I pose this question to you. Why do so many of us stay quiet about our trauma, sickness, pain, insecurities, lack thereof, financial burdens? Why do we often say we don't want to talk about it? Or use what goes on in my house stays in my house? The truth is, a lot of that silence is our form of survival. The problem is, it is so heavy that it often bears so much burden on our relationships, our mental health, as well as our self-esteem, as well as our physical health. But today, we're going to unpack it. See, we have to understand that in our Black families, we often use silence about our illnesses, about our insecurities, our lack thereof, or family problems, or even physical health problems as a way to protect our dignity. It's so important to us to protect our dignity, to have self-worth, and have self-pride. But most of all, we use this as a way to avoid the continued heartache and pain that we endure through a systemic racist system. Now, our elders feared hospitals, not because of the cost, but it was because of the real historic mistreatment that many of our elders went through. When you have women who have went through the hands of Dr. Marion Sims and how he tortured women to advance gynecological efforts, or when you talk about Black women who were coerced to be sterilized in Mississippi, or you talk about women like Henrietta Lacks, who they've taken her tumor and used it to advance the advancement of the medical field and health and science without any form of parental consent or even her informed consent. Are we not going to talk about the years of radiation experiments on Black children that were often in hospitals and orphanages? Are we going to talk about the ongoing pain biasness that many Blacks deal with when they go to the hospital? See, a lot of times we don't tell anybody, not because we are in denial, but it's because it is our defense mechanism. So we have to ask ourselves and reflect, do we talk openly about our illnesses? Or do we tend to keep it private, quiet, on the hush, and on a need-to-know basis? The problem with this is that we have to identify that the consistent form of stress that we go through dealing with poverty and trauma and racism and systemic issues can literally change how our bodies function and process. See, high blood pressure, heart disease, fatigue, all those different things are not just because of diet. Epigenetics has taught us that trauma can literally change your DNA structure and can be biologically passed down from generation to generation. So let's think about it. What are some of the patterns that run in our family? What are some of the illnesses? What have we noticed within our families that we tend to normalize that are not normal in other cultures. We have to get to a point where we want to break this continuous cycle of feeling like we have to just deal with it. We tell our men, man up. Why you crying? Real men don't cry. You don't get time to be weak. We tell our women, you ain't a woman unless you a strong woman. And we equate being strong as if you have to go through a million things to prove your worth or your value. And that makes it so difficult when you go out into the real world and you are functioning in your job, in your social, and everyone feels like you must go through utter hell in order to signify your worth. We then have it where we're dealing with things and we get to the church and everybody wants to say, pray through it. Don't claim it. The issue is you can't just use scripture for when it's beneficial for you. We often say there's life and death in the power of the tongue. Identifying what's going on doesn't necessarily mean that you are claiming it. But once you identify a problem, you have to provide a solution. And many times we are not ready or willing to really find a solution. So we're going to ask ourselves, what health issue, personal issue, mental issue, emotional or spiritual issue have you ignored because you are taught to be strong? Being strong is not sitting in your room and weeping and sadness. Being strong is not going through and lashing out. Being strong is not holding the burdens of the world and not feeling like you can talk to anybody. That is not being strong. Being strong is identifying a problem, asking for help, looking for solutions, going to therapy, taking medication if need be. But how do we do that? We got to get to a point where we have to reclaim our health. And it starts with having open conversations like this one. We have to take back our power by talking to people openly about our issues, about our fears, about our concerns, about our symptoms, about our bodies, about our lack of finances, about the lack of anything that we have, or even our insecurities. We have to understand that sharing our medical history is absolutely revolutionary to our culture and our community. That's the only way that we're going to be able to change the dynamics of what's to come. If we don't share that Aunt Lou has had fibroids and she's had to have a hysterectomy, but we have a grandniece that's dealing with the same issues, but we haven't had that discussion. A lot of times we are bringing these things upon ourselves because we're not having open dialogue. We also have to make sure that we are normalizing checkups. It is so important to have your preventative care checkups. A lot of times we can prevent a lot of things in our health from happening because of checkups. Not just only sharing medical history, sharing financial history, sharing your struggles, but also sharing things that work for you. It's not telling your business. It is helping to create a system, a culture, a community that can build within. You don't know everything, but there may be someone around you who knows more than you. We got to get out of the sense of being so prideful. We also got to get in the sense that we have to make sure to build health literacy in our homes. Not just with us, but with our children. Do you know how many children learn about the facts and the ways of life from their peers who don't know nothing? Because we tend to say, don't bring home nothing to my house that you can't take care of. That's the only conversation we have. We're not having a conversation about protecting themselves or giving them the tools that they need, and actually having a conversation that these people are young adults who have hormones raging. We're not having the conversations of, if we are telling them to wait until they're getting married, we're not telling them why. We're just telling them not to. We're not explaining the ramifications of when you think you're an adult and you're starting to walk into these things. And then we get upset when they end up experiencing life and you've had nothing or knew nothing about it. They cannot learn from osmosis. You have to be able to explain and tell and encourage them and be a sounding board for them to learn in the right way. Think about your own life. What is one health conversation you wish your family had had sooner? For me, I wish I would have known more about the medical history of family. Who may have had diabetes? Who may have dealt with cancer? Who may have done all those things? Who are siblings? Who are not siblings? Who are right siblings? Who is a father? Who's like these different conversations that we may not be having? We do not realize that they are so detrimental to our community. And the only way to fix this is that we have to understand that in order for us to have community healing, this is literally the only way we can do it, and that's by communicating. We have to be able to have peer support, create safe spaces, have culturally competent care. We got to rebuild the trust. We have to understand that all of these factors is the actual antidote for many of the issues that we have in our community. We have to rebuild the trust within ourselves, within our families, within our community. And we have to, again, like I said earlier, have and create safe spaces like this lounge to be able to talk, to be able to speak the truth, to be able to rewrite the narrative, to be able to have these conversations, to be able to be vulnerable and not feel like something is wrong with you. So we got to get to a place where we're going to be willing to support each other, make sure that our health is our priority, our emotional health, our mental health, our spiritual health, our physical health is a priority. We also need to reevaluate. We appreciate what our ancestors did in keeping things silent, because at that time, silence protected us. But now, our silence is hurting us. It's killing us. It's destroying our community. Because we are working in islands of isolation instead of in a communal effort. It is important that today we are vigilant, we are visible, and we have a voice. And that's the only way that we can heal our community, our lives, our families. When we are attentive, we are intentional, and we want to spark change. So if you're that person who wants to do any of those things, And then you want to be in this safe space, come to this safe space. Drop a comment. Go to pkmoneteducationalconsulting.com. Go to the group sections. Click on Pull Up for the Culture. Join the chats. Have conversation. Pose questions. We are here to promote change. Let's not have other people creating a narrative for us. Those days are done. Let's reclaim the dominion, the power over our community, our bodies, our loved ones, our family. Let's take back the ownership that we have divinely been given. Stop allowing people to dictate what your future is going to look like. We have the means to repair and rebuild. The question is, are you ready to do it? So if you're ready, do what we've been talking about for a while. And that's pull up. We out.